Hello everyone, my name is Jamin. Thanks so much for visiting my channel. In this video, I'm working on a Razer Blade 14. This will be the 2022 model. I'm going to show you a teardown or disassembly tour, show you how to get inside, and many of the various components you can access and upgrade once you're in. So first thing, power down your computer through the start menu. Make sure it's off and unplugged from your charger. We're then going to flip the computer over to access our bottom case screws. Now you have 10 screws along this bottom case. After you take those out, you're going to take a small, flat, preferably plastic pry tool. It'll scratch your computer less than a metal one will. And we're going to go across the seam and gently pry up the bottom case from the rest of your computer. It's generally best in computers to start out back near one of the two corners. And if you get stuck going in one direction, leave it, go to the other side, and continue in the other direction. Also, be careful not to put your pry tool too far in. You could damage some internal components. Just keep it on the edge, be nice and slow but firm, and you'll be able to get that bottom case off. Once you have removed the bottom case, this is what you're looking at for the inside of your computer. Now, as a general computer repair side note, whenever I'm working on a computer in my shop, it's sitting on an anti-static mat. Either that or an anti-static bracelet are great ideas to avoid damaging anything in your computer when you're working on it. If you would like any help with tools or supplies for your computer project, as well as any replacement or upgrade parts for this specific model, the Blade 14, there will be a link above, also below in the description, and it'll be a list of all those tools and supplies and replacement parts. Now, before touching anything in a computer, it's always best to remove or at least unplug your battery. Computers are safer to work on when as little power as possible is running through them. Your battery is right down here along the bottom. There are 7 screws that need to be removed if you're taking your battery out, and the battery plugs into the motherboard right here. So you have these 2 other screws right there that need to come off to take this bracket off, and then you'll be able to unplug your battery. And I guess the final thing I can mention about this kind of an operation, if you are here because your computer's not turning on, it could be a bad battery and you may need to replace it. But keep in mind, most laptop computers should still turn on and work with a bad battery as long as the charge is plugged in. So if your computer is not turning on, there is most likely a different problem than just a bad battery. If you would like help troubleshooting that, there will be a video link above, also below in the description, and it'll be the troubleshooting video that I use in my shop to troubleshoot why a laptop is not turning on. As far as storage, we have a single M.2 PCIe port right here. This takes up to Gen 4 solid-state drives, up to 1 terabyte in size. I will have that information below in the description if you're looking for your own replacement, but I will also have a 1 terabyte replacement option in the description in that link I told you about with all of the replacement parts for this computer. To get your solid state drive up is a single screw right here. When you do, you can take the solid state drive out of that port. Keep in mind this sticker right here, you may see various kinds of warranty void stickers in computers when you're working on them. If they see that this sticker has been disturbed, it can void part or all of your warranty. So just keep that in mind when accessing components and you see these in computers you're working on. Couple small things to mention at the end of this operation. If you are installing a new drive into your computer, you may need to install an operating system onto it afterwards. If you would like help with that, I will have video tutorials below in the description showing you how to install various operating systems onto this computer. Also, if your old drive is bad and you think you've lost the data, with some data recovery options, it's usually possible to recover data even on a bad drive. I will have information about that below in the description as well. As far as the RAM in this computer, it has 16 gigabytes DDR5 going at 4800 megahertz. However, it's non-upgradable. You can't access it. The RAM is part of the motherboard, so you can't get another RAM option. You can't upgrade it. Kind of one of the downsides of this model. CMOS battery is right here, and it plugs into the motherboard right here. Now, I will have a CMOS battery replacement option below in the description in that link I told you about with all of those replacement parts and tools for this computer. But if you want to find your own, this is a 3-volt CMOS battery if you want help finding your own. If you're just here to reset BIOS, you don't need to take the battery physically up. You can leave it down. You just need to unplug it from the motherboard maybe 15-20 seconds should be sufficient to reset your BIOS system settings. Now, in most cases, this will not reset your BIOS password, only your BIOS system settings. For more BIOS password reset information, check out below in the description in the FAQs. Last thing to mention about this, resetting BIOS in this way is a common troubleshooting step if your computer is not turning on. If that's why you're here, I will have a video link below in the description that will show you the full troubleshooting process on how to find out why a computer is not turning on and how to fix it if you would like help with that. You have a speaker here on the right side of my screen and one here on the left side of my screen. So they're both screwed down on the top and the bottom. And the wire comes right out of the side here and goes to the motherboard. Make sure when unplugging your speaker wires, don't pull on the wire. They're very small, very fragile. You could damage them, or you could pull them right out of the plug. So just grab that plug if at all possible. Use your fingernails, a pry tool, a small pair of pliers to get those out of the motherboard. I will try to have a replacement set of speakers below in the description in that link I told you about with all the replacement parts for this computer. They can be hard to find though. So I'm not sure if they'll be available the longer this video is up. The last thing I can mention about a speaker replacement, if you're having sound quality issues across different kinds of software, if it's not consistent, you may not have a speaker issue. It may just be a driver or system update issue. If you want help updating your drivers, updating your system, I will have a video link below in the description. That'll be a quick tutorial showing you how to update your system and your drivers. However, if your speakers just do sound like junk every time that bass hits, then yeah, most likely your speakers are blown and they need to be replaced. But your Wi-Fi card is right here. It's held down by a single screw in the middle. And then you have these two antenna wire that snap onto it here. Those are just snaps, so you pull them directly up and off of the Wi-Fi card. And to get them back down, they do need to be at a perfect 90-degree angle to snap back onto the Wi-Fi card. And keep in mind, you are strong enough to damage them if they're not at the right angle and you try to force it. So just be slow and patient. It may be a pain in the butt if you're not used to it, but get that at the right angle and you'll be able to snap those on. I will have all the Wi-Fi card spec information below in the description if you need help finding your own replacement, but I will also include a replacement option for this Wi-Fi card below in that link I told you about with all the replacement and upgrade parts for this model computer. And I guess the last shout out that I can make here, if you're having trouble seeing your Wi-Fi options, if you can't locate them to even search for a network, the problem is most likely not with your Wi-Fi card. It's most likely a driver, a system update issue. I will have a video link above, also below in the description, and it'll show you how to troubleshoot that situation if you cannot access your Wi-Fi options. You have two fans, one on the right side of my screen, one on the left. Be very careful when unplugging them from the motherboard. The fan wires are very fragile and they can break too. They can come out of the plug. So just manipulate that plug. Use pliers or a pry tool to unplug your fans. Between the fans over the GPU, CPU area here, you have a vapor chamber cooling system with two heat sinks. As a side point, if you would like just to watch a quick educational video on the difference between the old traditional heatsink heat pipes and these vapor chamber cooling systems, I'll have a little video below in the description about that. But these are the screws you have to undo to get that chamber cooling system off and access the underneath of it. Once you do, this is what the underside of that heatsink looks like. You got some thermal paste above the CPU, GPU areas, and then you have these cooling pads all around here. If you need a reference, if you're trying to replace those, this is where they were in this model. This is your CPU, GPU area, again with thermal paste there. I will have some replacement thermal paste below in the description in that link I told you about with all the tools and replacement parts for this model computer. Word of caution is if you do go into a computer that uses this thermal paste and you access it for any reason, once you expose it to air, it needs to be reapplied. Once you've separated it a little bit on the chip and a little bit on the heatsink, it no longer does its job as well as it should, and it should be reapplied. So I will have a video tutorial link above and below in the description. It'll be a tutorial showing you how to fix an overheating laptop. And one of the things it'll show you is how to clean off all the old thermal paste. You don't want to put new paste on top of old paste. And then once you do, it'll show you the correct amount of new thermal paste to put down. If you put down too much, you could end up locking heat in rather than facilitating its transport out. So you don't want to do that either. So again, that video will be below in the description if you need it. So now we've gone over many of the main components. One thing I did want to shout out, if you are going deeper into the computer, these ribbon cable clips here, you got one down here near the middle, one off near the Wi-Fi card, one over here near the SSD. You'll see these a lot in laptops. Be very careful when operating those. This white clip here, that operates kind of like a book cover. So the way to operate that is you would take a small, flat pry tool to get that ribbon cable out, and you would slide it underneath that white clip and then gently, carefully pop it up. Again, it opens like a book cover. So the bottom section here will open, and the hinge section is up here. So if you break that white clip, you may not be able to find a replacement, which will mean that your ribbon cables may not secure down well again. So be very, very careful when operating those clips. Other than that, I hope this video was helpful. This is how to get inside your Razer Blade 14 and access many of your internal components. Thanks again so much for watching. Please remember to like and share if this helped you out, if you think it can help someone else out. And feel free to subscribe if you enjoy DIY computer content like this, or if you just want to keep me on hand to answer any of your future computer questions. I do try to answer all questions throughout my channel at least a couple times a day. Also, feel free to check out the related links section below in the description. From time to time, I do try to add things in there that I think will help you with your general computer life, make it more productive, more enjoyable. So thanks again for watching, everyone. I look forward to seeing you on my next video.